Okay, so I'm here with Ray Dickenson. Ray is the Vice President, Marketing and Business Development at Mark Andy. Has really been in charge of the development of the digital side of the business. We've known Ray at Labels and Labeling for many years, right back indeed to the Indigo days, back in the mid-1990s. So Ray's got an enormous amount of experience in the digital market. So it's very interesting to see this machine being launched. Ray, can you give me some background? Obviously, it's a very crowded market in the digital printing market today. What was it when you were developing this machine? What were your main objectives?
So my objectives have been the same since we met in the early 90s or the mid 90s, okay, and then even before that. And what we wanted to do was bring the promise of point-click print to the label and packaging market, to the converting market. So all I've ever done, and what I'm doing here at Mark Andy now, is still trying to get it just the way I always envisioned it could be. So we want to take point-click print, exactly what's printed, or exactly what's wanted, when needed, and the amount needed, and deliver that. And all digital workflows and digital printing is the most exciting opportunity I know of to do it. And then what we do here is we marry it with converting. So now what we have is end-to-end point-click all digital workflow, point-click digital printing, and then what Mark Andy developed over the last few years was single-minute exchange of die for the converting and the product decoration. So there you have the perfect marriage if you can get the production speeds. That's a big if. We're only now starting to enter an age where you have printing technologies that can hit the true production speeds and the quality requirements, the print quality requirements that the converter market requires. So again, I had this vision in '93 and I've just been pursuing it ever since. Pursued it over at Indigo, HP, and I took the retirement package at HP, and I knew Mark Andy aspired to do something with digital, so I reached out to him in my off time.
Right. And so the real game changer for you today in terms of inkjet has been now the speed and the resolution of that you can now get from today's inkjet technology.
Speed is so critical. So it's not the only thing, but it's one thing, okay? And you got to have everything. So we've got to get the print quality, we've got to get the substrates, you've got to have a production speed. It doesn't have to be really, really fast, but it has to be fast enough so it can be married up efficiently and productively with the converting. And what happens is, you see, you've got a fixed cost structure. I mean, this is 24 feet of press. If you don't get enough speed, you don't get enough units across. If you don't get enough units across, you never get a payback, you never get a return for the converter. So with the technology that I saw when I was traveling around Drupa, I said, finally, we're right at the cusp. It's now doable. And there was a couple choices of different technologies and different sets, and they're reflected in the press.
And is there for the inks for the press, Mark Andy will be supplying the inks? Are these especially formulated inks? Or?
Yes, Mark Andy, when people purchase this press, they will purchase the inks from Mark Andy. And the label has right on there, Mark Andy.
Right, thank you. Ray, well, this the concept before has been tried, digital and conventional hybrid presses, and it has to be said at the moment hasn't become the most successful format. So in other words, we're not seeing that many. Most of the digital presses there are with offline finishing, and the argument often is that by the time that you change over on the converting units or conventional plates, then the machine's not running during that time. So why do you think that this particular iteration of the hybrid model will work, whereas perhaps in the past this model hasn't really taken off?
Well, again, I've been doing this for a while, and I've been listening, and from the very, very first days, the converters came up and told us what we needed. Right. They basically gave us the playbook. I don't take the best notes, but over time it kind of eventually soaked in. And what they really wanted to do was print and convert on a single piece of equipment. And people have tried that, but again, the presses went too slow. They couldn't get the fixed cost amortized. The presses, you had a mismatch in print quality between flexography and what the digital was doing. There was a number of, for a while there in the beginning, you didn't have opaque white even. So there was a lot of different reasons. Well, we laid out the specs for this press and the vision based on everything, all the knowledge I've accumulated since the early 90s and what I've been working on, and I've worked with millions of people, all smarter than me, that have told me this is what you need to do, Ray, this is what you need to do, Day. And I think if you look back at the videos of the attendees at this particular booth for this particular presentation, what you've seen is a lot of people were interested. The feedback has been absolutely overwhelming. So we really have no concern about selling as many units as we can produce and service out in the field. Okay, our main focus is just to deliver to the converters what they've always wanted.
And it's really impressed me to see the opacity of the white, the UV white, because I think it's always been assumed that what you would do is you put a white UV flexo unit before machine to get for the additional unit to get that the opacity, but you really do seem to have a very opaque white built into the imaging engine here.
Well, the key is you can go both ways. So you could have a flexo station to do white fore or aft of the digital module, okay? Maybe on both ends. Or whatever the flexo, whatever the converter wants, he can specify the press that his specific way. So you can shape the digital for his business as opposed to shaping the business to accommodate the digital. So I used to say all the holes are round and this peg that we have is square. Well, we've got a means now because they customize every array. There's no make to stock at Mark Andy. So that every press is customized to the converter's specific requirements for whatever piece of business that person's focused on. So with opaque white from digital, there's a certain cost and price point that they'll have to deliver, and that makes sense for very, very short runs. But if there's a big run or a larger run, and you want to use a flexography white, you can put that on and we'll have flexographic white that's compatible with the digital. And that could make sense for larger runs, and we've already seen that for a couple opportunities.
And just a final question, Ray. I know this is the most difficult one, but it's always asked by converters looking to move to digital from flexo. Because flexo has become so much more efficient, and we've seen that. I mean, you can see how quick it is to get that flexo unit in impression and register. What is there a kind of in your mind a kind of crossover point when a converter would get a kind of modern UV flexo press, and when they would choose a digital press? Is it all about run length, or is it about something more than that?
There's a number of factors for sure. I think the one that everybody focuses on is the economic crossover point. And so what we know now, we have very, very clear data after having done this for 10 or 15 years, is we know where all the digital jobs are clustered, okay? People talk about so many jobs at this run length, and there are all these corner cases and things like that. But the overwhelming majority of the work is clustered around a certain job size, okay? What we think we can do with the economics of this press is double that, triple that for a lot of work, okay? So there's a place for a converter using flexography for sure for a number of reasons. One might be speed and giant runs and things like that. There's some other functionalities that flexography does, but also, you know, they can put on a rotary screen head and other features too. So there's reasons why you might want that analog technology. You may want it married with the digital, okay? So however the converter wants it, at least this company is positioned, or soon will be positioned, where they can deliver it pure analog, pure digital, or a hybrid in between.
That's great. Ray, thank you very much indeed. A pleasure to see you back in the industry again.
Thank you.
Thank you.